All right, we're live here for our second edition of this year's Bears Talk Live, hosted right here at Blowing Rock Draft House. We appreciate the partnership we have with them. We also appreciate Jay Brown Realtors. They are the presenting sponsor of the Coaches Show this year. So shout out to Jay Brown Realtors as well, and thank you to everyone who's here with us today. We got an exciting show planned. We're going to kick things off with the boss herself, Kim Pate, Vice President for Athletics. Kim, welcome to the show.
You must have gotten, like, short of guests or something to call me up here.
No, you're top of the line. We got the top of the line here today. So we're gonna talk a little Bears athletics from the boss's standpoint. So, Kim, to start us off, I know it's been a kind of tumultuous and also trying last 8 months or so. I know it's been very challenging for people in leadership positions. But now we're here. We're all on campus. Things are going well. Teams are back at practice. Kind of give us a little state of the Bears action on how things sit today for Lenoir-Rhyne athletics.
Yeah, I think we've had to approach, life in college, higher education, sport, really day by day, right? Mm-hmm. So we've been one day at a time trying to just, get back to, being able to compete. And that's been our focus is how do we get back on the field? Let's walk before we run. And honestly, things could not have gone smoother for Lenoir-Rhyne. Just hearing what our colleagues have shared at other schools, and I think that we have had great team effort all the way, from the top, Dr. Witt, all the way to, our coaches really buying in and athletes buying in. So we're in as good a spot, and it's gone as good as you possibly would think. I mean, I think a lot of us, if you were to ask us back in August, is this going to work? We weren't sure, could we do this? I think you'll hear from the coaches here. They'll kind of share their perspective, but things have gone as smooth as possible, and we're hopeful. We're super excited about getting back and seeing our kids compete. As soon as, actually, October 31st, swimming might be.
That's right.
I think they're hosting
That's
a meet.
Right.
So
Yep. Swimming will be the first one to get kicked off officially, which is exciting.
Yep.
That's for sure. And you're right. I mean, we've had great leadership, and we're fortunate to be in the position we're in. Might need to knock on wood there a little bit. So far we've been very blessed to have our student athletes following the rules and listening to what we have to say and listening to our coaches. And last week we got to talk spring for football and their 4-game slate with the SAC. Just because our fans haven't heard necessarily a little bit yet on the men's and women's soccer plus the volleyball schedule, could you maybe touch on that for about 30 seconds in terms of what those are going to look like in the spring?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have all of our fall schedules set. The only one that's sort of up in the air right now is cross country, whether or not we can squeeze that in the midst of indoor track. But soccer is going to start in February. They're going to play 8 games, 6 of which will be South Atlantic Conference games. There's going to be a conference tournament, at the end. We're still working through the details of what that'll look like. But there'll be a championship opportunity for soccer. Volleyball, very similar. We're going to play 10 matches. And so, all conference schedule there, and they'll have a conference tournament as well. So those are set. We're juggling a few dates, just to navigate finals and things like that. But, Gary and Jack are just finalizing who they're going to play non-conference. So we're excited.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's very exciting. And the other exciting piece that I think most fans know, but some might not, is that all fall sports athletes are going to get that year back of eligibility for next fall, even though we're competing in the spring. So I think that's really exciting and good for people to know, is that we should have a lot of these athletes back next year as well, which is great news for our coaches. Let's shift gears to kind of something that's also very exciting for our group here, and that's homecoming. So now that we've moved everything to the spring and we know kind of what the football schedule is going to look like in a sense, kind of talk to us about what the new homecoming plan is for LR football.
Well, it's still shaping. We were just chatting. We would actually be gearing up for the Hanley Painter tomorrow. And so, this weather would have been perfect for it. But we are excited. April 10th is or 9th, I guess, would be the golf outing, the Hanley Painter golf outing. So we'll have our traditional athletics homecoming weekend the 9th, 10th for April. And that'll, the weather will be decent.
Oh, yeah.
We'll have other things going on campus, I'm sure. And it'll be just great. Hopefully by then things will, we'll be through all the hurdles to get back to, we'll be smooth sailing by then.
Right.
But we play Catawba, which I don't know if anybody knows this, but it'll be our 100th year, our 100th game against Catawba. So 100, so
that's
we
a good
obviously,
fact there.
yeah.
That's good.
So that's kind of cool that we'll be celebrating that at the same time. We'll have our homecoming festivities on campus, but we'll also have our Hall of Fame ceremony. So don't exactly know what the details logistically of that are going to be, but we're excited about that. And Coach Hollar, who you'll speak with here shortly, has done an awesome job of chairing that. So we'll be inducting another class of just outstanding former student athletes and coaches.
That's exciting. Yeah, so mark your calendars, everybody. April 9th and 10th will be homecoming this year. Should be a lot of fun, and it's a rivalry game against Catawba, so what more could you ask for? That's for sure. Kim, will you talk to us a little bit about something in my neck of the woods on a day-to-day basis that's coming up here in early November, the Bears Club auction? Obviously, with COVID, it's going to look a little bit different this year, but the factor remains that we need to raise a lot of money for student-athlete scholarships. So maybe can you touch on that for us and how important that is for us this fall?
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, Aaron. You guys obviously did an outstanding job in addition to our Bears Club Council, our committee for golf and gala just crushed it last year. Raised just a tremendous amount of support for student-athlete scholarships. And obviously we still have, we have 620 student athletes on our rosters. They are all, benefiting from athletic scholarships. And so even though maybe we're not playing, a full fall schedule or what have you, we're still committed to, their scholarships. And so we have to have that support from our Bears Club in order to be able to make sure that our student athletes scholarships are invested there and that we continue to invest in our student athlete experience. So these two events are our largest events that we do through the Bears Club. And so a little different this year.
Very much so.
You may have to kind of shed some light on the virtual option. And I know that you felt like it would be a great opportunity to go virtual this year. Just get it out of the gate here in November and an opportunity to start raising some funds. So.
Yeah, very true. So it'll start November 2nd will be the first day of it. That's a Monday, and it'll carry on for 2 weeks. So the unique part of it and the good thing is that this year it'll allow teams, alumni and people that necessarily don't live here and don't get the chance to come back to homecoming every year to bid and be a part of it. Normally being at a live event, you got to be here to bid on those items. So November 2nd through November 16th, going to be very exciting. We've got a ton of great items. We're up to over 150 at this point. Our committee's done a great job of really getting some awesome things this year that I think you guys will be really excited about. So make sure that you watch for that. We will send you guys an email with the link to do all the bidding and sign up. And if you have any trouble, obviously you can call me or Martha and we'll make sure you get set up. But that's coming up here in less than a month at this point.
And I'm guessing there's some great Kyle Duggar pieces.
Great Kyle Duggar pieces. There's a lot of autographed items. I don't want to spoil the surprises yet, but we've got some great autographed memorabilia from Kyle Duggar, and he is absolutely playing well. I mean, what does that do for university just to switch gears? I mean,
I've seen Lenoir-Rhyne on, through social media. I'd love to get an impressions. Leo, Jeremy, you guys will put that together. But just the exposure, that Kyle Duggar's brought to Lenoir-Rhyne through, every time he's, Monday night, Sunday.
I know.
And he's
Spotlight.
playing. He's awesome. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is. It is to have a rookie out there without preseason, making tackles, making plays this early in his career is exciting for Lenoir-Rhyne, and it proves that you can come to Division II school like this, and make an impact and still get to that next level and be an NFL superstar. I mean, that's where he's going. Let's touch on some exciting things now, capital projects. A lot of people with COVID and everything going on have been wondering, what's the progress with some of the baseball things we've been working on. The football stadium obviously needs a renovation here in the next couple years. Can you kind of give Bear Nation a little bit of an update on how that's going right now?
Yeah, well, we certainly haven't been hibernating on that topic. We've been working hard behind the scenes. And, one of the things I'm really excited about is not only do we put together a plan for Moret Stadium, which we rolled out to some donors last spring right before COVID shut us down, we also at the same time looked at Schufer Gym and how can those two venues, kind of really gain some synergy together. And so, we have a really exciting plan for Schuford Gymnasium and an expansion and how it sort of interplays with Moret Stadium is pretty cool. So we're excited about that, those plans as well. But we are working on a silent campaign for, Moret Stadium, which will obviously include benefiting, our home side as well as our what we traditionally call our visitor side. It'll benefit lacrosse. There'll be a field house there for lacrosse and new concessions, restrooms, just a really awesome looking entrance. So this is a game changer for Lenoir-Rhyne athletics. If we could pull off these 2 facilities in the next few years, it'll put us in a whole different level. Not only with our D2 counterparts, but certainly even FCS schools. So
perfect.
I'm excited. It's going to be a fun ride.
Oh yeah, it certainly is. And one of the last questions I got for you before I ask the fun question for you from Cars Plus, sponsored by them. You mentioned the word "we have not been hibernating." You mentioned that phrase. I think it'd be important for Bear Nation to kind of hear from you, our leader, just that our coaches and our administration and you and even our student athletes, through this whole thing, even though it's been quieter, I think it'd be important for you to kind of touch on how you've seen our coaches and administration, our student athletes not sit still and use this as an opportunity to kind of sit back, relax, how we've still been driving, developing, and dedicating through this tough time.
Yeah, no, I think it's just part of our culture. I think it's part of the DNA of our coaches and our athletes and what we've established over the last few years. That we really, one of our mantras this year is that we're going to focus on driving, not just surviving. We're in the middle of a pandemic, and there's a couple different ways you can approach adversity. You can dig in and use it to your advantage. And so, we started off the pandemic focused on growth opportunities, having coaches present to our coaches and using it for professional development. And then that, we just kept working on our strategic initiatives. And you're going to hear from Shena and Chris here shortly. Both of them are going to talk about their facilities. I hope Shena will talk a little bit about hers. We've got plans for their facilities as well. And, yes, it's a pandemic, but if you've got time, let's work on getting better. And we're seeing that on the field, on the court, where our athletes are really bought into taking this opportunity to develop and get better and improve.
Sure.
And so that's what I'm seeing, and certainly I think that's part of our culture.
Yeah, I agree, and I think, you've put that culture in place, so we appreciate your leadership from that standpoint, driving that bus. All right, speaking of buses and cars, we have our Cars Plus Lenoir question of the day that we will be asking each of our guests. So, Kim, a little fun question for you, and I don't know the answer to this, so I'm very curious as to what it will be. What was the first car that you ever owned or driven?
All right, so the first car that my first car in high school was a silver Thunderbird.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
and it was a turbo, by the
That's
way, turbo. It was a straight shift, so I had to learn how to
I can totally
drive
picture that.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I would have guessed.
Moonroof,
I love it. That's a little curveball, but there you go. There you have it. Kim's first car was a Thunderbird. I like it. That's stylish. I like that. Awesome. Well, let's give it up for – no, go ahead.
Kind of dates me a little bit.
No, that's great. You're young and spry. Well, let's give it up for Kim Pate, our Vice President for Athletics, and appreciate you coming out today, Kim. Thank you.
Thank you, Aaron.
All right.
Appreciate you.
What does unlimited mean to you? At Carolina West Wireless, it means unlimited media, unlimited fun, and unlimited access to our nationwide high-speed network. Sign up today for an unlimited data plan and pay just $35 per month per line for 4 lines. And we'll include hotspot and big-time savings on a new smartphone. Take $350 off the revolutionary new Samsung Galaxy S20 and get more out of your unlimited. Expect more, get more. Only from Carolina West Wireless.
All right, we're live back here at the Draft House. We've got our next guest up to bat, so to speak. Coach Shena Hollar, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Aaron.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right, let's get started here. I got some good questions for you.
Okay, I'm ready.
Do you know that you and I have combined for 833 career wins here at Lenoir-Rhyne as softball coaches? How much of that do you credit to me of those 833 wins?
I didn't know it was 833.
It is. I have the number in front of me. I've been keeping track of our wins.
Aaron, I think you get 0 for that.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I'll take that. I figured that was what you were going to say, but I just had to check.
Okay.
So 21 straight winning seasons. That is pretty impressive.
Crazy.
Before you got here, the all-time winning percentage for the softball program was actually below 500. I don't know if you knew that. How have you been able to, one, start the success, because it had to start somewhere. You've never had a losing season here. And then how have you been able to sustain that success once you got the program up and rolling?
I think a big thing is recruiting, and then the kids you bring in and have them buy in and understand, hey, we have a winning culture, and that's what we want to do. when I had a job interview for here, the kids, all they want to do was win, and we came in and won a championship the first year. So I think it's a lot with the kids and teaching them the softball skills and things like that.
Yeah, but to not have any drop-off in 21 years, I mean,
Man, my back hurts.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Well, it's both.
My
It's
back
both.
hurts.
It's both of us. You know,
Yeah, it's you, Aaron.
It's a
That's
team
what it
effort.
is.
It's a
Okay.
team effort. But seriously, I mean, that's pretty amazing. So, you see a lot of coaches that have successful tenures, but to not have a drop-off at all. Do you really think that's just a testament to most of the kids, or do you think that there's a philosophy that you've kind of adopted and instilled in the culture, along with your assistant coaches, that's helped it to where even if you might not have the same talent year to year as you have had, you're still able to win 30, 40, even 50 games a year?
Oh, I think our culture would be like the big family atmosphere. Yeah. And that's a plus, and they know they're going to get that when they come here. And then also that the kids that are here can teach the new kids coming in, this is what we do, and this is how we do it, and this is how it's going to be done.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, it seemed to work for you, that's for sure. With the longevity of how long you've been here and how successful you've been, have you had to adapt as a coach with recruiting and just, the generation of being on their phones all the time, text messages, social media? Have you had to adapt as a coach at all, or has your philosophy been able to kind of stand the test of time, so to speak?
Well, our philosophy kind of stays the same. I know what kind of kid we're looking for and what's going to be a good fit for us. I like the thing that we can text them and not have to pick up the phone and call them. Back in the day, you just sent them a letter in the mail, and you just send them another letter in the mail. But now within 5 seconds, I can be in touch with them. So that's a good thing. That's
awesome. Yeah, I agree. So we're gonna have a little downer question here for a second. How disappointing was it last year to be off to a 20-4 start, knock off the #1 team in the country, really have things kind of clicking on all cylinders as we're getting into conference play, and then obviously have everything with the pandemic happen? How was that for you and the team? Obviously disappointing, but have you guys been able to use that in the last few months to kind of fuel that fire as we go into this season?
Very disappointed. We were playing very well. We just started conference play. We scored like 25 runs in 2 doubleheaders. A kid threw a no-hitter. Freshman threw a no-hitter. So. There's phases. You're disappointed. You're pissed that you didn't get to do the season, but then you have to reality that team's coming back.
Right.
A lot of really good kids coming back, so it makes us very excited for the year.
Yeah, to your point, that the pitcher that was a freshman is still technically a freshman, and everybody that you had coming back is still coming back with that same year of eligibility. So, in more of a good light of that question, how excited are you guys for this year? I've obviously had a lot of conversations with you, and I personally know how excited you are about this team and what it can possibly do this spring, but tell our fans kind of how excited you are about the future of LR softball, namely this season.
Very excited. We've scrimmaged a couple times. Both freshman pitchers are back. Our whole infield except for one is back. Our top 5 hitters are back, and just seeing us do what we do this fall, it's going to be a really good year. Yeah, no, and that was kind of my next question is I know you guys have been hosting some scrimmages and having some competitions that you're allowed to have. What stood out to you from a team perspective? Is it the pitching, the hitting, or all of it? What's kind of stood out as pluses or maybe even some minuses so far from practice? I think the pitching is the main thing. We have 4 on our staff, and they've dominated our hitters right now. I mean, it's hard to hit when you haven't seen pitching.
Hear that, hitters?
Yeah, so you haven't seen pitching in 8 months, but their hitters are coming along, and that's a good thing. And the girls have a lot of drive to them, and they're ready to get back after it. Awesome. That's good to hear. So, we talked to Kim a little bit about this, and she even mentioned it. And I'm going to give you a shout-out here. We've done a great job fundraising in the last year, especially for softball, and I think you've really done a great job of engaging with your alumni and trying to get them to buy in around the batting cage project. And then also, even on a larger scale, we've been talking about some kind of stadium renovations and things of a larger scale for softball. Will you kind of talk to that a little bit, not only about the batting cage, but also about the future of softball and the facilities that we're trying to work on? The batting cage project, we've got that started. We've cut down some trees behind the old batting cage, getting ready to rip that out and move some dirt, pour some concrete, and put that 2-system cage in, which will be awesome and allow us to maximize our time in the batting cage, and everybody will get to hit at one time. And then the stadium piece, we're almost finished up with the architecture plans, and awesome. He's trying to finish that up, but it will be it's very nice. It looks very good. Yeah, no, it does. It looks amazing, and it's something that you and the program deserve. That's for sure. Do you need any help with that manual labor stuff, by the way? Yeah, can you move some dirt for me? Oh, I'd be happy to. You know that. Yeah, I'm a big time facilities guy. That's my neck of the woods for sure. All right, so now to the fun question. Same one I asked Kim. Okay. Cars Plus Lenore, sponsored question of the day.
What was the first car that you drove, Coach Hollar?
Well, a big shout out to Cars Plus because I'm driving a car from Cars Plus right now.
There you go.
Yeah.
We didn't even plan that.
No, but it was a 2-door Toyota Corolla white.
All right.
5-speed. Yes, it was. That's
So
what it
also a
was.
manual.
Yes.
All right, that's awesome. I still don't know how to drive a manual, but that's okay. Maybe you guys can teach me sometime. That's just the generation. Well, Coach Hollar, let's hear it for you. We appreciate you being here and all you've done.
Thank you.
We
Take
appreciate
care.
it. All righty.
Paramount Kia in Hickory. We want to see you driving a new Kia or, hey, a quality pre-owned Kia. We've got a huge selection of new and pre-owned Kias. You got to get to Paramount Kia in Hickory, Highway 70, ParamountKia.com.
All right, we're back here at the Draft House with our third and final guest of the day, head baseball coach Chris Ramirez. Chris, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, glad you're here. Glad you're here. So we're going to start with something that you may or may not know. I think we spoiled this, and I think you already know, but Coach Ramirez was the only coach that we've had lose a game during the pandemic. Did you know that?
I don't know if I'm going to officially accept that
Yeah,
loss.
so we found out yesterday that there was a game that they started in the beginning of the season last year that never actually technically got finished. We played 5 innings against Erskine, and we were down when that happened, but they had made plans to come back and finish that game during a doubleheader. Since they never went back and finished that game, we found out in, June, that he actually got credited with a loss. So, Coach Ramirez, you lost the game during the pandemic. How does that feel?
It was. It's a tough one.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm not sure if I'm going to officially, count that one on the record. I know from a recruiting standpoint, we're still going with 15-10 last year.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Fair enough. So, Coach, you have 15 career wins here at Lenoir-Rhyne. You're only 818 behind Coach Hollar. Do you think that she's nervous about you catching her career record?
I actually swung by a coach's practice yesterday to try to get some pointers. So I'm working my way that way. It's going to take me a little bit though.
You do, to your credit, at your young age, have 214 career wins at the Division II level, which is pretty impressive. So you're a National Coach of the Year coming from Illinois Springfield, had a lot of good stuff going. Obviously, you had a little bit of a season last year, and you were on the show last year, and a lot of people here know you. But for those that might not know you that well yet, kind of tell people why you left a good situation where you were winning to come to a place like Lenoir-Rhyne and obviously compete for national championships. But what led you to that decision, and how have you and your family kind of settled into Hickory?
Sure. No, it's been now going on just over a year in Hickory. It's been a great transition for myself and our family moving to Hickory. We love it down here. Obviously we're sitting outside right now and the sun's out. We're a few hours away from a scrimmage at practice today, and so the weather's awesome. The city and all the people that we've been able to get to know and meet and make friends, relocating our whole life down here to North Carolina. But
Sure.
I think at first, it didn't appear to be just an easy, natural decision. But as soon as I got on campus and got a chance to, of course, meet you and all the other people that are making things happen, here at LR, where the athletic department's at currently, where the baseball program is, and just where it's heading, it became pretty clear quickly, that this was a place that I needed to get down here quick and get going. So it's been really good.
That's awesome. That's good to hear, and we're really glad you're here. A lot of good things have happened already. Team got off to a great start last year. Obviously disappointing to have it cut short, but everybody coming back is really exciting. Before we talk about the team, I know we've got some really exciting news on the baseball kind of field capital project front. Why don't you share with everybody some of the exciting news we've gotten in the last couple weeks?
Yeah, so I wasn't sure if I was going to be allowed to make that announcement because we have been working through COVID and through the shutdown on the baseball project and getting our facilities upgraded, and so we are in about 10, 20 days.
Mm-hmm.
Going to break ground, and
we're
re-turfing. We're putting artificial turf in on the entire field.
Entire field, not just the infield.
Not just the infield.
Entire
the
field.
entire
there you
field.
Go.
So
yeah,
I mean, it's we're going to be the only Division II in North Carolina to have that.
Wow.
And up ahead of a lot of the Division I programs even. That have a turf baseball field. So it's just going to be a game changer for us and really a separator. Our number one priority as a coaching staff is, we prioritize our players and player development, and there's nothing more directly related to our players than the baseball field.
Sure.
So that's going to, be a huge impact for our current players in our program, but also on a recruiting standpoint, clearly the weather benefits, to not have to worry about that one loss that we got on that rain.
It's
out.
preventable. It was preventable.
That will not happen this year. We'll get
exciting.
We'll get that game in this year. So it's definitely a big play for us.
Yeah, and what's the field going to be named?
Durham Field.
Durham Field. All right.
Couldn't have done it without Rhett Durham.
Yep.
And as what he's done for our program, and getting to know him this year has been great.
Guy.
Yeah, for sure.
Great guy. Our committee has done a fantastic job, and the next phase of that project will be the grandstand. So we're not done. The full field turf is very exciting, and that's the first step. But it's not the most viewer-friendly type of stadium right now. So we're going to pick that up, make sure that alumni, parents, everybody that comes back, students, has a much better viewing experience. So the grandstands will be the second phase of that project, and then hopefully we'll be able to pick up the stadium and the restrooms and things like that as we move into the future. But very exciting news on the baseball front. So now let's talk a little bit of baseball. All right, you've had some key transfers come in this offseason. You had the team off to a really good start last year compared to the teams in the competition that we had to play early in the season. You had to play Catawba, a couple teams from Florida, so the schedule was no slouch. Kind of talk to how you feel coming into this year with everybody coming back, some of those transfers I mentioned. Kind of talk about how you and the coaching staff are excited about this year.
Sure. Just the quick contrast between what it feels like right now versus what it felt like this time last year. We had a bunch of good players in our program, and some, honestly, it was, the guys that we had inherited did a tremendous job of, buying in right away and getting to work. With a whole new coaching staff coming in, but we were very untested. We had a lot of new players to the starting lineup, 6 or 7 new players to the starting lineup. 6 or 7 of our top 10 pitchers last year had not been, in the top 10 or done it here at LR. So we were very untested going into last season. And I think getting half of our games in last year and bringing all those guys back just by default with the group we had last year that did a good job, now we're a tested team. And then what we did in the recruiting front was be able to go out, bring in, 18-person recruiting class to add to a now tested team.
Yep.
That was learning how to win when the season ended, at 15-10.
Yeah, 15-10.
With some big wins.
15-11.
So I'm really excited, to take where we left off last year and then gel it with the new guys that we were able to bring in has led to a good fall so far.
Awesome. Yeah. So speak a little bit about that fall and what you've seen so far, because I know I've been around for a few of them. You guys have had some scrimmages. What have you kind of seen as the strengths of the team so far, or maybe even some areas where you'd like to see some improvement in the next few months before we kick off the spring?
Sure. I think our strength is going to be our depth. We have, it feels like we can put 2 good teams out on the field right now, from a position player standpoint. I feel like we're too deep at every spot, two guys that are very capable of playing well at this level. And so, I think that makes our coaching job a little easier on one end. I don't have to yell at anybody to make them practice hard today.
Yeah.
They show up and there's a guy standing right next to them, that they both want to play. And so, they show up ready for practice every day, and that's a good thing from a coach. Where our job will get hard is when the spring comes, and you got to figure out who's going to play this game, and just how we're going to gel it and get ready to go win that game. So our depth and we were very solid across the board last season. I feel like we were able to with some of our returners making some jumps and some of the new guys we brought in, maybe a little bit more all conference type players, maybe a few more impact, guys. And those are guys that, again, like I said, some of them were here last year and have really developed and are more ready to be an all-conference type player than they were last year. And some of it comes on the recruiting side where we have some guys that we feel like we'll be able to plug right in and, they'll have a high impact in our conference.
That's exciting. I know a lot of people are really pumped up for the spring with not only the fall sports taking place, but also programs that we think are going to take a huge step forward like yours, and then have some programs that have established success like men's lacrosse, women's lacrosse, softball. So it's going to be a fun spring, that's for sure. All right, it's your turn for the Cars Plus question, man. What was the first car that Coach Ramirez owned?
So nothing too fancy, nothing too crazy, just a little Ford Escape.
Okay.
We drive around
Ford
town.
Focus. So
okay.
There you go. Yeah.
There you
That's
go.
awesome. What color?
White.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
plain.
It's kind of bland.
Plain, boring.
Yeah. That's
I'm not a showy guy.
No, you're
I
not.
like to stay in the background.
You just get it done, right?
That's it.
You just get it done. I like it. Well, let's hear it for Coach Ramirez, our head baseball coach. Appreciate you being here with us today, man. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. All right, and we are going to wrap up here from Blowing Rock Draft House. Big shout out to them. Beautiful day here. If you didn't join us this week, please join us in person next week. Want to give another shout out to Jay Brown Realty. Appreciate them being the presenting sponsor of this weekly show. Upcoming events you saw scrolling along the bottom of the screen if you were watching on Facebook. Again, really excited to hopefully see all you guys next week. Thanks for tuning in, and thanks for joining us in person. Signing off here from the Draft House. Go Bears.